Hey everyone, this is the Marriage Ranger. I want to thank you for stopping by our channel today and checking out the content that we have to offer here at Ranger Christian Counseling. So, you've just started dating the most charismatic, witty, and captivating person that you have ever been around. Or maybe things are getting much more serious at this point, and his charm is just irresistible. Whenever you're with him, you feel important, and you're full of excitement all the time. He truly has what could be called a magnetic personality. Everything he says is bold, dynamic, convincing, and he has the power to command the attention of everybody in the room. He seems to be fearless with everybody that he deals with. Of course, he also tends to be arrogant and impatient with others, and he's highly critical of their shortcomings. Chances are, if this is the case, you're dating a choleric. So what should you know about the choleric temperament before this relationship gets any more serious? Or if you're already very deeply committed to this person, what should you know before you finally tie the knot in marriage? Stick around as we discuss this very important topic and get to the answer. As we have already discussed in other videos on this channel, there are three areas of temperament: inclusion, control, and affection. Inclusion refers to your surface relationships and how you process data that you come in contact with in this world. Control is exactly like it sounds. It has to do with will, how much willpower you are willing to receive from others over you, and how much willpower you want to show over others. And affection is also just like it sounds, how much love you want to show others and how much love you want to receive from others. If the character traits mentioned at the beginning of this video apply to your significant other or fiance, that person is probably a choleric in inclusion or a choleric in control, or both. Cholerics in affection are quite rare, and the unusual traits that they have in their affection area are less obvious to most people, because usually they appear to be a sanguine. And so we're going to stick with the choleric in inclusion and control today for the purpose of this discussion. If they are a choleric in inclusion, they're going to be very open and friendly, at least at first. They're going to be a confident person, optimistic, outgoing, and tough-minded, strong-willed. They also tend to be very perfectionistic, and they're constantly dreaming about new projects or goals to undertake. They're visionaries and they're highly extroverted people, but their extroversion serves a purpose at all times. They're not outgoing with people just for the sake of being outgoing. They are highly selective about who they're reaching out to. They are master manipulators, actively looking for opportunities to use people to accomplish their own goals. The choleric in control is a lot like this as well. Cholerics in control share much of the same indicators as the choleric in inclusion, but they are able to handle massive amounts of responsibility. They live to lead with efficiency, and they do so both by example and by selecting people who will submit to their every whim. This temperament is highly prone to abusing power and becoming frustrated and/or angry when the other party does not comply with their demands. With all this in mind, if you have demonstrated any passiveness, any timidity or submissiveness, or if you've shown that you may be weak-willed, the choleric has been attracted to that. They have gravitated toward you as an easy target for manipulation. And this is the reason that we see so many choleric men with supine women. Supines are the most dependent temperament, and cholerics tend to pick up on that. Since cholerics have no idea how to handle someone except through domination, they will innately look for the most susceptible person to their tactics. And this applies to the workplace, the church, social organizations, and of course, to the dating and marriage scene. The relationship works sometimes because supines don't mind being dominated, but eventually the choleric will come to resent them for their weakness and become contemptuous toward them. It is very difficult to live up to a choleric's standards of perfection, especially for the supine who lives in constant fear of rejection and quietly resents cruelty and harshness. While the supine is seeking encouragement and approval from the choleric is putting them down and reinforcing their fears of inadequacy. As you can see, a supine married to a choleric is not necessarily a match made in heaven. For a melancholy, marriage to a choleric can be even more difficult, because the more the choleric tries to control the melancholy, the more stubborn and resistant they will become. Even the slightest indication that the choleric is trying to manipulate them will set off alarm bells in their head, and they dig their heels in, becoming bitter and angry at the choleric for their attempt to control them. Furthermore, the melancholy needs a lot of respect and freedom to make their own choices. They need time to take a break and recharge somewhere alone, and the choleric just cannot allow that most of the time. A betrayal of the mission is equated with a betrayal of the choleric. Then, when the choleric tries to do everything by himself, out of frustration and insisting on his own way, he suffers burnout and becomes resentful for the lack of cooperation from the melancholy. While a relationship with the melancholy can be very difficult, it can become more difficult for the choleric married to a phlegmatic. This is because phlegmatics will guard their low emotional energy to no end, using harsh words and sarcasm all the time. This almost always frustrates the choleric in control, or even a choleric in inclusion in many instances. Though melancholies and phlegmatics can both become self-righteous and proud, phlegmatics will make it a point to be obstinate, and they will openly be rebellious when the choleric tries to push them to do anything. They do this in a way that the melancholy doesn't even dream of, because melancholies are very quiet, and they don't respond in the same way that a phlegmatic would, loud and proud. It works this way. Supines and melancholies will become quiet and brood, and this anger will fester within them. But phlegmatics will voice their objections with scathing words. Why? Because unlike supines and melancholies, phlegmatics don't fear rejection, and they don't struggle with low self-esteem. So cholerics will wear themselves out with arguments and coaxing in order to get the phlegmatic to comply, but they will never move an inch closer to doing what the choleric wants them to do. They are both at a standstill. A marriage between a choleric and a phlegmatic can be a tortured relationship because of this dynamic. Next, we have the sanguine, which is perhaps the easiest for the choleric to get along with. But the needs for reliability, dependability, consistency, and efficiency are not often going to be met by the sanguine spouse. The choleric can also become frustrated with the sanguine, but for different reasons, of course. The choleric just cannot tolerate the constant distractions and inattention to detail and unpredictable behavior of the sanguine, who will not stay on point when expectations are high. Their thinking and behavior are just too erratic to appease their demands, at least to do so proficiently. Finally, there is the choleric married to another choleric, which could be the most explosive arrangement of them all. What do you think happens when two people with the same strong motivating force get together in a marriage relationship? They often try to subdue and dominate each other, and it's only a matter of time until they're at odds with one another and opinions clash. Or they may enjoy the challenge and achieve incredible things together as the ultimate power couple. While anything is possible with God, two wills of iron both being broken into soft, patient, and humble hearts is very unlikely. It's more likely that the cruelty will escalate from both of them, and the relationship will die a painful, violent death via a nasty separation or divorce. This all depends on the values and the dedication of the couple to treat one another with patience, gentleness, and respect. So as we see, the choleric operating from a place of weakness can have a miserable marriage with any of these temperaments, and it's for a variety of reasons. However, knowing God's plan for our lives and how that affects our relationships is a powerful remedy for many marriage struggles. When we become selfless instead of selfish, we can learn to bear with one another in love and patience. Cholerics can fly off the handle if you say something that they disagree with. They have a high need for respect from everyone else, but they regularly disrespect others without a thought. Usually they don't notice that they're doing this, but many times it's because they don't care. What you think or how you feel mean nothing to a typical choleric in control. You are the one who has to walk on eggshells. You are the one who has to give them honor and recognition that they desire, as if they're entitled to have it no matter what they do. Melancholies will withdraw themselves and cut ties if they believe that they're being disrespected or used. Sanguines will blow up when they think they aren't being validated or accepted as an essential member of the team or family. Certain temperaments are predisposed to certain reactions to a slight. But it all goes back to one thing: ego. I deserve respect. I deserve recognition. I deserve praise and honor and appreciation and so on. And this is a heart problem that Jesus had so much to say about during his ministry on earth. He taught us to be meek and lowly in heart and to uplift others for their contributions, to give honor to whom honor is due. And of course, this has to be a two-way street for all of us, but not so for the choleric who's operating in weakness. Now, I am a choleric in control, so I know about the emotional challenges from firsthand experience. I know how difficult it can be to accept that others have the right to say no to your demands, and how disheartening it is to accept disappointment when expectations go unmet. By knowing temperament, you can prepare yourself for a marriage full of many upcoming challenges. You can know what to expect when times are tough and everyone is on edge. By studying behavioral cues, you can also become aware if this choleric you are dating or engaged to is operating from a place of weakness and has become narcissistic. Only you can know if you're able to withstand the constant onslaught of power trips and control tactics and manipulations that are about to be unleashed on you. And then you will be able to determine if it's truly wise to move forward with marrying this person. Only God can rescue this kind of person from himself, and you are not God. Keep that in mind. If you want to learn more information on the choleric temperament, make sure to watch our video with Dr. Rachael Cash called Temperament 101, The Choleric Temperament. For other information, you can contact me on my website at marriageranger.com. Thank you for watching and have a blessed day.